Securities offered through Cambridge Investment Research Incorporated, a broker-dealer, member FINRA, SIPC. Advisory services through Cambridge Investment Research Advisors Incorporated, a registered investment advisor. Cambridge and Clear Vista Financial are not affiliated. Discussions in this show should not be construed as specific recommendations or investment advice. Always consult with your investment professional before making important investment decisions.
Welcome to the Spend Life Well Show, where we apply biblical wisdom to your financial life. Today in the studio is Jesse Hamilton.
Hey, everybody.
And of course, I'm Certified Kingdom Advisor Mark Trice. We're happy to join us. We have a special guest today in the podcast studio.
Maybe the youngest guest on the show
Youngest guest ever. London Hamilton is joining us. Dad is taking care of London today, and we're so happy she'll be here. She may throw some surprises to us, but we're glad we're glad you're here, London. This is awesome.
It's a working dad day, but she wanted to be a part of the podcast.
So we're continuing our discussion about retirement, and today we're going to look at the sources of income in retirement. You know, Jesse, we've talked about this before. There's nothing really in Scripture about retirement, but
no. Maybe if you're a Levitical priest.
Yes, right? The Levitical priest, there was some Scripture about that. But otherwise, it's not a talked about subject
It's an American topic, right?
It's an American topic, yes. So we're going to talk about various sources of income that you might have after you retire, and the importance of really developing an overall retirement plan. Okay? So the first one, Jesse, that people often think about, Social Security.
Yeah, a lot of people think this is where a lot of their main income is going to come from. And if you worked, you paid into this for many, many years, so you should get a monthly benefit. And there's a lot of different ways to calculate it. How many are there?
If you're a married couple, there's 22,000 different ways to draw your benefits.
That's quite a
bit. The Social Security Administration themselves have 7 different ways that they calculate your Social Security benefits. The reality is, for most people, Social Security accounts for maybe a third to 40% of your retirement income. So we're going to need other sources and things.
Unless you have a really tight spending plan, you're only spending a little bit and your Social Security is really strong, but that's not very common.
But Jesse, because there's so many different ways to draw your Social Security benefits, it's so important to time when to start those benefits and how to collect them.
Right.
Like we said, thousands of different ways to draw those benefits if you're a married couple, even if you've been married before. So
we could do an entire show on this.
Oh,
really.
yeah, absolutely.
Or an entire series.
The biggest thing to remember is the longer you delay, the bigger your monthly payments will be. Right. And that's really important when it comes to not only spousal benefits, but also cost of living adjustments down the line.
Very important.
The thing to remember about Social Security is it is inflation-adjusted income that's guaranteed for your entire life.
That's really important because each year they're going to look at the actual CPI data and give you a raise based on that.
That's right. So another source of potential income in retirement might be your pension. Now, these aren't as prevalent as they used to be, but there still are a few companies out there that offer defined benefit plans, or for short, we call them pensions.
Much more common with the boomers than the younger generations, but we do see a couple here and there, and a lot of people entering retirement phase recently still have pensions.
Yeah, and it's important that you understand how your pension is calculated. You can request, if you have a pension benefit coming to you, you can request a report that says, here's how the pension's doing and so forth, and how those benefits are calculated. You want to be talking about those things as you get closer to retirement. Don't wait till the month before you retire to understand that.
They are usually not as inflation protected, right?
Most of them are not. It's a fixed income for life. It is not something that generally is going to index with inflation. So the value of the payment that you receive when you retire is what you're going to be getting for many, many years to come. I know we see this in the state of Texas a lot with state employees and also retired teachers.
Yes.
Very rarely do they provide them a cost of living adjustment. In fact, for those two groups, it requires an act of the state legislature to get that increase.
So the joke of it requiring an act of Congress is no joke.
That's right. That's right. An act of the legislature. Some people might have annuities. This is the third thing that we're going to listen to or talk about today. Annuities is really an insurance instrument, and there's many different types fixed, and so forth. But like a pension, they're funded out of your own investments, not your employer.
Yeah, some of them are designed to kick off monthly income. Some of them are designed to have guaranteed income or a fixed rate of return. But if you have one of these, it's important to understand what exactly you do have and what the benefits are.
And there's so many different flavors of annuities today. It's really confusing when you start getting into the different types of annuities and things. Make sure you consult your financial advisor before and talk to a professional about before considering any type of annuity.
They do have a great purpose for some people, but they're not right for everybody.
That's right. Also, another source, a fourth source of potential income in retirement is earnings from part-time work. You know, a lot of times people, they retire and they still want to work in some capacity, but maybe not in the same way that they have in the past.
Yeah.
We see a lot of, for example, health care professionals that want to go back part-time to be able to supplement their income. This can be a great source of income, and you would have greater control over your schedule and things of that nature. So it's just also, there's lots of other benefits like staying active and social with your work colleagues and things. And it really is not meant to be permanent, but it's just something that can supplement your income for a short period of time.
You probably spent several decades developing a very specialized skill set, and that's still going to be useful to a lot of people.
Right. Another source of income in retirement is obviously income from investments. These are the things that you have set aside for over the years, like a 401k or IRAs and things. And so you may have investments that are not retirement accounts that are generating dividends and accruing interest or experiencing capital gains. There's a certain type of strategy that every person is unique, will need to employ in their own situation to generate that retirement income. So you want to make sure that you're talking with your financial professional to talk about what is the right sequence of using some of these investment incomes or investment sources to draw and sustain your lifestyle in retirement.
There are a lot of advisors that base their entire portfolio on income-producing stocks and bonds and other things. What a lot of people don't understand, though, Mark, is when it pays a dividend, you actually are reducing your price by that much. So yes, you got some cash out of the investment, but you're also reducing the value of the investment.
And when those situations happen, sure. So, but you've got different types of sources of retirement income. But in these instances, we're talking about IRAs, 401ks, maybe cash savings, or different types of non-qualified investments. The when and how you use those monies can really determine how much tax you end up paying, whether or not that impacts taxation on your Social Security, whether or not that might trigger some additional Medicare premiums. It's so important to have a game plan, a roadmap, if you will, Jesse, for how you're going to draw down these investments.
Because you probably have so many different types, and you don't know which one to take at which point.
It's confusing. That's why it's so important to have that roadmap.
Right.
Let's talk a little bit about investment properties. Some of us may have rental properties, other types of properties that are generating income. These can be ways to effectively generate additional cash flow. But then you're retired, and you may not want to be managing properties. Maybe you should consider hiring a property management service type company.
Yeah.
But investment properties can generate additional income. Some of our clients, Jesse, in retirement decide to start a business. They've been sitting on the sidelines for a while, and they really like to do something different. They want to make it a business.
Yeah, that would be very exciting.
We have a number of clients that really try to turn their hobbies into businesses. I'm thinking of a client who focuses on rebuilding transmissions of motorcycle engines.
Very, very niche business.
Yes,
there.
but apparently he's doing quite well because there's a lot of individuals out there that are looking to rebuild an old motorcycle.
Are these like vintage bikes and stuff?
Yeah,
very
they are.
Cool.
And so it's a very unique specialty. He gets to have fun by tinkering with the engines, and he loves going to swap meets. And I think that's something he turned into a business.
Yeah.
So, there's lots of different things you can consider, but you want to work on trying to determine that withdrawal strategy, okay? We can live off the interest. That might be interest that in the past has been historically low the last 30 or 40 years. Rates are higher now. Who knows how long those will continue?
This was probably more feasible in the 80s, right? When you had
Yes,
13%
13%,
CD.
it's right, but it was something that had to also deal with inflation as well.
Yeah.
Many of us ask, well, how much can I withdraw from my investments? Well, typically, the industry standard is 4%. You can withdraw 4% of your assets. The assumption is that maybe you'll have greater than 4% growth on those assets every year. We say use that as a rule of thumb only loosely, right?
Very loosely,
It's a good way to think about it, but it's not what you end up executing on every year.
If you're just lost, completely lost, it's a great ballparking tool.
Yeah. And so it's not dependent upon the investment earnings. If you have a bad year, do you keep drawing down 4%? Maybe, maybe not. Depends on your situation. Most of our clients we talk with, we want to work with them to determine, because year over year, they may need to withdraw more for different goals that they have.
Right. But that's not that much. I mean, if you have $1 million IRA, the 4% rule is $40,000 a year.
There you go. And that, in theory, is supposed to maintain that principle with that.
Right.
We also have a bucket strategy how we organize people's accounts. The assets are placed in buckets theoretically, based on a corresponding time horizon. So you might have the bucket for the now, bucket for the later, and then for the later on. And those investments are going to depend on really the time horizon and the risk tolerance that you're going to be able to take or willing to take with those investments. So income that is taken from a bucket is earmarked for that purpose, and the other buckets are left alone. They're designed to grow. But typically we want to see that you're going to invest to meet your expenses. But think about this just in a way that we look at things that are mandatory and things that are discretionary. What would be an example of a mandatory expense?
Something like your bills, if you have a mortgage, or debt payments that you can't miss.
And then also, too, if discretionary expenses might be that vacation around the world.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that, but it's fun to do that. We'll consider that discretionary.
Unfortunately, some people see mandatory as discretionary, and they say, I have to take that trip around the world.
So we're going to put a slide in the presentation here, and it's going to pop up on your screen in just a minute. We've summarized these different approaches to withdrawal strategies that you can see, and that's a way to think about those things. The other big thing that we'll talk about, and we'll wrap it up with this, is how that different sources of income, that income is taxed or not taxed. For many of us, Social Security will be taxed. Up to 85% of the benefits will be taxable depending on our income and filing status.
But I thought Social Security was a tax. I already paid.
Yeah, you did, but you're going to pay tax again. A lot of people are surprised on that. Now, 15% of your Social Security benefit is tax-free regardless of what your income is, but up to 85% can be subject to income tax.
Yeah.
Your pensions, generally, most of those pensions are taxable depending on the type of plan.
The only tax-free ones I've ever seen, Mark, are military-based.
That's correct. And only certain types of those are tax-free.
Not all of them.
If you decide to take a part-time job, that's all W-2 income. You're going to pay income tax on it.
Definitely.
Investment accounts are going to be treated differently depending on the type of account. So make sure you consult your financial advisor before you do that. And then annuities are taxed differently depending on whether they're retirement tax qualified or non-tax qualified. So lots of different components here. It's always important to talk to a financial professional. Take a look at this. Send us some questions. You can send us an email at info@clearvistafinancial.com or give us a text, 254-282-0495. Until next time, folks, you've been listening to the Spend Life Well Show. We thank you for London sitting into the program today. She's doing really well. And we'll visit with you next time on the Spend Life Well Show. Thanks. Have a great day.